Hi, this is David from DepthNode, and welcome to this second video in our Getting Started series. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create your first assistant. I'll take you through the assistant workspace, we'll do some training, and we'll test the assistant and get it ready to be published. So let's get started. Okay, so we're logged in already, and we're at the dashboard screen. This is either the home screen or I might refer to it as the dashboard screen. So the first thing we want to do is create a new assistant. We'll just click on the Create Assistant button and we should get a blank assistant. And we've also been moved into the workspace. So this is the New Assistant workspace. The name New Assistant is created by default. You can change this and give it whatever name you want. I'll call mine Test Assistant. Rightio, I'll click out of the box and that name now gets accepted. If I go back, you'll see now that I've got a test assistant under recent and I've got one in the personal test assistant. If you click on this little star, it favorites it. So you'll see here under the favorited section that I've got one favorite assistant because it's got the little gold star. I can also share an assistant at this point. So if I click on the little share icon, it'll ask me to enter in a username or an email address. So this is another DepthNode user. If you know their email address, you can type it in there and click share and your assistant will be shared with them. If anyone shares assistants with you, they will appear down here in this section. All right, we'll just close these and I'll click back into my test assistant. Back into the workspace area, and this is where the decision tree gets built. And at the moment, we've only got one introduction node, or what we call the root node of the tree. If you click in that, you'll see that it has a title, a message, some tags. Now, just a very quick description. The introduction is simply there for us to identify what the node is called. Okay, so that's our introduction node. The message that appears in here is whatever message you want to appear in your chat, in your AI chat. So I might say something like, "Hi there, how can I help?" Question mark. Now, if we save this, you'll see that I've now got a message in there. "Hi there, how can I help?" And if I just quickly go over to the test chat area, you'll see that it says, "Hi there, how can I help?" So that's where that message comes from. Whatever appears here is exactly what's in that introduction node message. So what we've done so far is we've created an assistant, we've added some information to the introduction node, and we've saved it, and we've actually run a test to see what that looks like. Each node can also be given tags. So later on, when your decision trees become more complex, you want to add as much information as possible. We actually store each node in our knowledge database. And so the more information that you give about a node, the more relevance it can have towards a query that a user makes in the AI assistant. So in this case, we might just not have any tags for this introduction node, or we could probably call it introduction and save that. Okay, so now you'll notice that our assistant is called chatbot. That's just the default name that we use. We can change that by going into the configure section. So we'll just click on the configure button, which is located here. We've got a few tabs up here. We've got AI settings, customize style, and publish. Well, we'll use the publish right at the end once we've done everything. The customize style is where we can change the look and feel of our assistant, the colors, the logo, and the name. So we might call this Depthy for DepthNode. So Depthy now is the name of our AI assistant. Let's have a look at the other things that are in this section. If you want to change the image here, all you need to do is make sure that it's uploaded to an accessible area, some sort of shared folder. And of course, what you do is you just simply put in the URL in here, and then that image will appear. What is this greeting message? Now that's interesting. So this greeting message is something that's used to highlight an AI assistant when you publish this on a website. So if you want to publish an AI assistant on your website, it'll appear in the bottom right-hand corner of your page, of your web page. And in order to attract attention, it has a little pop-up message. Now that's what you put in here. This is the pop-up message. And it'll appear alongside the little chat bubble when the page loads. Now you can also delay this message. So at the moment, we've got it on a 2-second delay. So what'll happen is the page will load up, your little chat bubble will appear, and 2 seconds later, a little message will pop up to try and attract attention. Okay, you can adjust a few other things. We'll talk about these more later. Let's just save these settings and let's go back to the AI settings. Now this is where you give the chatbot a little bit of personality and some instructions and background about you. So in here, we type in any information that you want to be the background of your AI assistant that describes what it is that you're trying to do. Describes your business, describes your education program, describes your information or service or products that you distribute or sell. That is where you can put some background in. The next box is the instructions. Now, the instructions are really important because this is where you give your AI assistant some persona. Now, by default, we've put in that you're a helpful assistant that exists on a website. You must answer the user's questions, utilizing the information that you've found most relevant. Now, I'm going to give you an example of how we use this in a minute. Let's continue on, and I'll show you a few other things. The query mode defines how information is retrieved from our system. So by default, what happens when a user types in a query, the system will first search the decision tree. It'll find whatever is available in the decision tree and it'll display that first. It'll provide the user with an option to say that that wasn't helpful, and it'll then go off and search the knowledge base and come back with any results that it finds from the knowledge base. The KB only or knowledge base only search, what it'll do is it'll ignore the decision tree and it'll only search for answers to a user's query using the knowledge base. Likewise, the tree only search will ignore the knowledge base and only search the decision tree. Now, the reason we do this is you might say, well, why have a tree only search? Well, you might literally only have a decision tree. Then you don't really need to invoke an AI large language model. And the reason for that is because decision trees are actually a very commonly used way to store knowledge for machine learning. And it is also the most quickest response that your users can receive. Not only that, it's also the cheapest because we're making very minimal use of artificial intelligence. So if you've only got a decision tree where most of your knowledge is stored, select the tree only and you'll find that it's very, very efficient and very cost effective as well. Now, the combined mode is actually the best of both worlds. The decision tree will always be searched first, and it'll search the knowledge base. What it then does is it returns the query result from the knowledge base, displays it on the screen as a response, and immediately after that, it will display the most relevant decision tree node as quick responses with the message that goes with that main node, allowing the user to read both responses and pick the next step. We'll see that in action in later videos. I don't want to overcomplicate this one. So let's just keep things simple. I'll keep this in default query mode, and you'll see how that works in a moment when we do some testing. Okay, the next thing is to select your AI model. Now, we've only got a few in here at the moment. There'll be more AI models being added. It gives you a description of the model and a cost of the model as well. Okay, so now let's move on to publish. You'll use this later. We're not really ready to publish this assistant right now, but the way this works, it gives you the code to publish your assistant on your website. It also allows you to create what we call a standalone web app or a standalone page. So this is the URL that you would use to actually have a full dedicated standalone website that DepthNode hosts on your behalf. and you can actually have your AI assistant appear on that website. And I'll show you that more later. So let's now move on and we'll test the chat that we've got, because I want to show you how the instructions work. So let's go back and test the chat. So there we go. We've got Depthy. That's the name of our AI assistant. Hi there, how can I help? And I'm just going to write the word hello. It's gone off and searched the tree, and we've only got one node, of course, so nothing complicated about that. And it's come back with, hey, how can I help you? And of course, this is where we can say, no, you're not being helpful. I need more assistance. So let's click not helpful. So remember, we were on default query mode, and the default query mode is search the tree, come back with the best response, and also what we call a quick response button that says not helpful, which is what it's done. We'll click not helpful, and now it'll go off and search our knowledge base. Now, we don't have a knowledge base, so what it'll do is it'll actually take whatever chat history we have here, send it off to the AI model that we had selected in the customize screen, and of course the instructions said, if we don't have any context, come back with, I cannot help you with this query. And that is what it's done. Let me show you how we can improve on the personality of our AI assistant by just giving it a little bit of instructions. So let's close out of this. Let's go back to the configure screen, back to the instructions. And let me say that if the user thanks you or greets you in any way, then reply with a kind and professional response. There you go. We've now given the AI some instructions on how we want it to act. We'll save that now, and let's go back to the workspace and test that again. Now remember, all we did last time is type in hello. So we'll hit enter. And of course, it's come back with our node again, our introduction node. I'm saying it's not helpful. And so now let's see what happens. Again, we don't have a knowledge base, so it's straight away going to go to the AI, and it's come back with, hello, how can I assist you today? So it was told to reply in a kind and professional manner. So it actually did. It said hello to us, and it asked us how we can be assisted. Let's go and change that query mode, and I'll show you what difference that makes. We'll go back to the configure screen and we'll change the query mode. I'm going to set it to knowledge base only, and we'll see what happens now. So by setting it to knowledge base only, it means that it's not going to use the decision tree. It will, however, show you the very first root node. It always does that as an introduction. Now, if I just say, hello, how are you? It'll immediately go away and try and search for any knowledge in the knowledge base. It can't find any, of course, so it's going to follow the instructions that it's been given and come back with a kind and professional response, and that's what it's done. So let's go through the other parts of the workspace, and the one thing that we haven't looked at yet is the training section. So we've created an assistant, we've changed its name, we've changed the introduction message, we've gone through the configuration, changed the instructions, we've changed the query mode, and now let's go and have a look at some training. Now this is where you can add more information, and the information that you add here is stored in the knowledge base, and that's what gets used to find answers to your users' queries. So we've got a few sections on how you can provide training material. There's the free text section where you provide a title and text. Now you can put as much information as you like in here. Just give it a title to identify what text you're putting in here, and then the text that you want. When you add something, and so let me add something. So this is some sample text. This is a sample text for testing only. Okay, I'll add that. Now, what that's done is it's provided the title that we put in here, and it's uploaded this to the knowledge base. So now that there is ready as part of the training material. You can put in your Q&As here, right? So type in your question and your answer, and that'll also get added to the knowledge base. So let's test this. We might say, what is the cost of delivery of any product? Question. And then the answer is we only charge a flat fee of $10 per delivery. Okay. And I'll click add, and we can go and test this straight away. So we now got a question in there. If you want to change that, just simply click on this little pencil icon and you can come and make your modifications. Okay, great. The website area is where you add a URL. So if you've actually got a website that you want the AI assistant to be trained on, then you can type that URL here, and whenever the user enters a question, the assistant will first have a look at any of the training information that we have, any of the Q&As that are listed here, and it'll then go and search the web at that URL. If you provide a URL and that URL does have multiple resources linked to it, what our system will do is it will actually use the publicly available search engines to retrieve the most relevant information. So you can simply provide a top-level website URL, and our system will conduct the best search based on whatever public index is available on that URL, and it'll retrieve the appropriate page that best matches the question that was asked. And finally, you can provide training documents. In the documents section, you can upload text files, Word documents, PDFs, PowerPoint, Excels. They will be transcribed and indexed. Now, just a quick point on PDFs. PDFs are a little bit interesting. If your PDF has text in it, the text will be extracted. However, the images won't be. If there is an image in a PDF, if there is a description about that image in the PDF, then that text will be extracted. If you have an older style PDF that is made from scanned images, or for example, photocopy of a few pages out of a book that was done quite a few years ago and not typed using a word processor, then the text from those pages will not be extracted. You'll need to transcribe those first. And there are a number of tools out there that do that, or you can even use some of the available large language models where you can provide it a PDF with non-text pages and ask it to transcribe it for you. Once it's transcribed, then you can take the transcription and upload it into the training area. So let's go and query the assistant. We'll go and test it, and we'll see if it finds the answer of how much is our shipping. Now, we've asked specifically, we've given information about how much is the cost of delivery. I'm going to ask a little bit different. I'm going to say, how much is shipping? Now, because we use natural language processing, we access large language models, the AI should understand that even though I've used the word shipping, shipping and delivery is the same thing. And so as you can see now, it's come back and says shipping costs a flat fee of $10 per delivery. Let's go back and have a look at the usage so far. You can see we've used a little bit more than what we had shown before, but you can see now that we've made use of the large language model. That's what LLM stands for, large language model input and output. Our vector database reads and writes. And we've also used a little bit of this thing called vector embedding. And the vector embedding is what actually converts knowledge into a matrix of vectors. And I'm nowhere near going to try and explain that in this video. So let's go back to the home screen, the dashboard, and we've created an assistant, and we'll break down each component a little bit more in future videos. But for now, that should be enough to get you started, training your own assistant and testing it out. Try all the different query modes, see how they work, and we'll build a decision tree in an upcoming video. Okay, that's it for now. Until the next one.